Everyone wants to know, where should I buy property in Australia? What's the best city? What's the best suburb? Where will I make the most money? Here's the problem with that question. There is no single best place to buy property. The best place depends entirely on who you are, what you're trying to achieve, how much money you have, and what trade-offs you're willing to make. Someone looking to buy their first home in Sydney on a $100,000 budget needs completely different advice than an investor with $500,000 looking for rental yield. A retiree downsizing has different priorities than a young family looking for good schools. So instead of giving you a simplistic answer like Brisbane is best or buy in regional NSW, I'm going to break down how to actually think about this question. By the end, you'll understand what factors matter, which locations suit different goals, and how to find the best place for your specific situation. Let's start with the framework. The 4 questions that determine your best location. Before you can identify the best place to buy, you need to answer 4 critical questions about yourself. Question 1. What's your primary goal? Are you buying somewhere to live, owner-occupier, or buying to invest, investor? If you're an owner-occupier, your priorities are lifestyle, proximity to work, schools, family, and amenities. You might accept lower capital growth if the lifestyle is better. If you're an investor, your priorities are capital growth potential, rental yield, tenant demand, and exit strategy. Lifestyle is irrelevant. These lead to completely different location choices. An investor might buy in a mining town with 7% rental yield that they'd never want to live in. An owner-occupier might buy in an expensive beachside suburb with 2% yield because they love the lifestyle. Question 2. What's your budget? Your budget determines what's actually possible. Someone with $300,000 has different options than someone with $1.5 million. At $300,000 to $400,000, you're looking at regional areas, outer suburbs of smaller capitals, or apartments in some locations. At $500,000 to $700,000, you can access outer suburbs of major capitals, inner suburbs of smaller capitals, or decent regional properties. At $800,000 to $1.2 million, you can access middle ring suburbs of major capitals, inner suburbs of Melbourne or Brisbane, or premium regional locations. At $1.5 million plus, you can access inner suburbs of Sydney or Melbourne, premium locations anywhere else, or multiple properties. Don't look at properties outside your budget. You'll just frustrate yourself and waste time. Question 3. What's your time horizon? Are you holding for 5 years, 10 years, or 20-plus years? Short-term investors 5 years need to focus on momentum and cycle timing. They want markets that are currently undervalued but about to boom. Median-term holders 10 years can focus on fundamental growth drivers like infrastructure, employment growth, and population increases. Long-term holders, 20-plus years, can be more flexible because almost all quality locations appreciate over very long periods. Question 4. What trade-offs are you willing to make? Every property decision involves trade-offs. You can't have everything. The properties that offer the best location also cost the most. The properties with the highest yield often have the lowest capital growth. The suburbs with the best lifestyle often have the worst affordability. You need to decide what you're willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to buy far from the CBD for affordability? Are you willing to buy an apartment instead of a house? Are you willing to accept lower yield for better capital growth? Are you willing to buy in an unglamorous suburb if the fundamentals are strong? Being clear about your trade-offs helps you focus on realistic options. The best places for different buyer types. Now, let's break down the best locations for different types of buyers based on these factors. Best for first home buyers. Budget $400,000 to $700,000. If you're a first home buyer with limited budget, you need somewhere affordable that still offers reasonable growth and livability. Option 1. Outer suburbs of major capitals. Suburbs 30 to 40 kilometers from Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane CBDs offer relative affordability while maintaining access to employment and services. Sydney. Look at suburbs in Western Sydney like Campbelltown, Liverpool, or areas around the new airport at Badgerry Creek. These benefit from infrastructure investment and are more affordable than inner suburbs. Prices around $700,000 to $900,000 for houses. Melbourne. Look at growth corridors like Wyndham, Werribee or Tarney, Melton or Outer Southeast, Cranbourne or Pakenham. These have good transport links and growing employment. Prices around $550,000 to $750,000 for houses. Brisbane. Look at Logan, northern suburbs like Caboolture or Redcliffe, or outer western suburbs. These offer affordability with reasonable Brisbane access. Prices around $550,000 to $750,000 for houses. Option 3. Regional cities near capitals. Cities like Geelong, Wollongong, Newcastle, or the Sunshine Coast offer lifestyle and affordability. These cities have genuine economies beyond just servicing the local population. They have universities, hospitals, manufacturing, and tourism. Employment exists beyond capital cities. Geelong, 45 minutes from Melbourne, strong economy, growing population. Houses, $600,000 to $800,000. Newcastle, 2 hours from Sydney, diversified economy, beach lifestyle. Houses, $700,000 to $900,000. Sunshine Coast, close to Brisbane, tourism and retiree demand. Houses, $700,000 to $1 million. For first home buyers, the best place is wherever you can afford to get into the market in a location with reasonable fundamentals. Don't wait for the perfect suburb. Buy what you can afford. Best for investors seeking capital growth. If you're an investor prioritizing capital growth over yield, you want locations with strong growth drivers that are currently undervalued or at the early stage of their growth cycle. Option 1. Melbourne's middle ring suburbs. Melbourne has been the weakest performer among major capitals recently, creating opportunity. It's now cheaper than Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide, despite being Australia's second largest city. Look at gentrifying suburbs 10 to 15 kilometers from the CBD. Reservoir, Preston, Thornbury in the north. Footscray, Sunshine, St. Albans in the west. Clayton, Oakley, Noble Park in the southeast. These suburbs benefit from suburban rail route infrastructure, future, gentrification as younger buyers pushed out of inner suburbs, strong rental demand from students and workers, Melbourne's eventual recovery to match other capitals. Prices $650,000 to $900,000 for houses. Expected growth 5 to 7% annually. Option 2. Infrastructure corridor suburbs. Buy near major infrastructure projects that will improve connectivity and drive growth. Sydney. Suburbs along the new Metro West Line. Five Dock, Burwood, North Strathfield. These will transform in accessibility when Metro opens. Prices $1.2 to $1.8 million. High entry point but strong growth potential. Brisbane. Suburbs around Cross River rail stations and Olympics venues. Woolloongabba, Bago Road. Prices $600,000 to $900,000. Olympics infrastructure will drive growth through 2032. Perth. Northern suburbs benefiting from Metronet expansion. Morley, Noranda, Ellenbrook. Prices $550,000 to $750,000. New rail connectivity adds value. Option 3. Undervalued regional cities. Hobart and Canberra are relatively affordable compared to their fundamentals. Hobart, Tasmania's capital, is cheap relative to mainland capitals, has cooled after COVID boom, creating opportunity. Government employment and tourism support the economy. Prices $650,000 to $850,000. Risk, small economy limits growth. Canberra, stable government employment, high incomes, strong planning controls limiting supply. Currently flat, but fundamentals are solid. Prices $900,000 to $1.1 million. Expected growth 3 to 4% annually. Low risk, moderate returns. For growth investors, Melbourne's recovery potential and infrastructure corridor suburbs offer the best opportunities in 2025-2026. Best for investors seeking rental yield. If you're an investor prioritizing income over capital growth, you want locations with strong tenant demand and high rent-to-price ratios. Option 1. Regional Queensland. Regional Queensland mining and agricultural towns offer yields of 5 to 7%. Townsville, defense and university town, stable tenant demand, yields around 5 to 6%. Prices $400,000 to $550,000. Mackay, mining service town, cyclical but high yields, yields around 6 to 7%. Prices $350,000 to $500,000. Risk very cyclical with mining. Cairns, tourism economy, decent yields, yields around 5 to 6%. Prices $450,000 to $600,000. These locations offer high income but moderate capital growth. Best for investors who need cash flow. Option 2. Adelaide's northern suburbs. Adelaide's northern suburbs offer better yields than southern suburbs. Elizabeth, Salisbury, Playford areas, yields around 4.5 to 5.5%. Prices $400,000 to $550,000. Tenant demand is solid from working families. Capital growth is moderate. Option 3. Perth's outer suburbs. Perth's outer suburbs still offer reasonable yields despite recent price growth. Rockingham, Mandorah, Armidale, yields around 4.5 to 5%. Prices $450,000 to $650,000. Risk dependent on Western Australia's mining economy. For yield investors, regional Queensland offers the best returns but with higher risk. Adelaide's northern suburbs offer moderate yields with lower risk. For lifestyle seekers, owner-occupiers with budget. If you have substantial budget and prioritize lifestyle over investment returns, different locations become attractive. Option 1. Sydney's eastern suburbs and northern beaches. If you can afford $2 million plus, Sydney's premium suburbs offer unmatched lifestyle. Bondi, Kerchiga, Manly, Mossman. Beach lifestyle, established communities, premium amenities. Prices $2 to $4 million plus. Capital growth 3 to 4% annually. These are already at premium prices, so growth is moderate, but lifestyle is exceptional. Option 2. Melbourne's Bayside and Inner East. Brighton, Sandringham, Toorak, Quay. Established wealth, excellent schools, premium lifestyle. Prices $1.5 to $3 million plus. Capital growth 4 to 5% annually. For lifestyle seekers, location is everything. Capital growth is secondary to quality of life. For portfolio investors, multiple properties, diversification across different markets reduces risk. Strategy: buy across different cities and stages. Property 1, Melbourne Middle Ring for recovery growth potential. Property 2, Brisbane Outer Suburb for stable growth and Olympics exposure. Property 3, Regional Queensland for high yield and cash flow. Property 4, Adelaide or Perth for diversification. This spreads risk across different economic drivers, Victoria's economy, Queensland's growth, mining cycles, and different return profiles, growth versus yield. The factors that actually matter. Regardless of which specific location you choose, certain factors predict better long-term performance. Factor 1. Infrastructure investment. Properties near major infrastructure, metro stations, highways, hospitals, universities, consistently outperform. Follow government infrastructure spending to identify growth areas. Factor 2. Employment diversity. Cities and suburbs with diverse employment, not dependent on single industries, are more stable. Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and Canberra have diverse economies. Mining towns don't. Factor 3. Population growth. Areas with growing populations have growing housing demand. Southeast Queensland, Western Sydney, and Outer Melbourne are growing fastest. Factor 4. Supply constraints. Areas where new supply is limited, geographic barriers, planning restrictions, see stronger price growth. Sydney's inner suburbs are supply constrained. Outer suburban growth corridors aren't. Factor 5. Owner-occupier appeal. Properties that appeal to owner-occupiers as well as investors are more stable. Family homes in good school zones outperform investor-grade apartments. My picks for 2025-2026. If I had to recommend specific locations for different scenarios right now, here's what I'd suggest. Best first home buyer location: Geelong or Wollongong. Affordable, strong fundamentals, decent growth potential, genuine economies, reasonable lifestyle. You can buy a house for $600,000 to $800,000 and build equity while living well. Best growth investor location: Melbourne's Middle Ring North. Reservoir, Preston, Thornbury. Undervalued relative to fundamentals, gentrifying, infrastructure coming. Melbourne's eventual recovery will benefit these suburbs first. Best yield investor location: Townsville. Stable defense and university economy, 5 to 6% yields, moderate capital growth, lower risk than mining towns. Best lifestyle location: Northern Beaches, Sydney. If budget allows, unmatched lifestyle, stable market, premium amenities. You'll pay for it, but the lifestyle is worth it if you can afford it. Best value play: Hobart. Has cooled significantly after COVID boom. Now relatively cheap. Tasmania's economy is limited, but government employment and tourism provide stability. Good value entry point. Best infrastructure play: Brisbane Southside. Olympics infrastructure transforming the area. Wollongong, Bogo Road, South Brisbane. 7 years of ongoing investment through to 2032. What to avoid? Just as important as knowing where to buy is knowing where not to buy. Avoid single industry towns. Mining towns, agricultural towns, or tourism-dependent towns are highly cyclical. Karratha booms and busts with iron ore prices. Port Douglas lives and dies with tourism. Unless you're willing to time cycles perfectly, avoid single industry dependence. Avoid oversupplied apartment markets. Melbourne CBD has massive apartment oversupply. Brisbane's inner city went through an apartment construction boom. These markets have weak fundamentals with too much supply. Avoid climate risk areas. Flood-prone areas, bushfire-prone areas, and coastal erosion zones face increasing insurance costs and climate risks. Properties in these areas may struggle to hold value as risks become more apparent. Avoid chasing last year's winner. Brisbane boomed 2021 to 2024. Perth boomed 2022 to 2024. Adelaide boomed 2021 to 2024. These markets have already had their run. Buying into them now means you're buying at elevated prices after the growth has occurred. The bottom line: the best place to buy property in Australia depends entirely on your personal situation, goals, and constraints. For most first home buyers, buy wherever you can afford in a location with reasonable fundamentals and access to employment. Focus on getting into the market, not finding the perfect suburb. For most growth investors, Melbourne's middle ring suburbs and Brisbane's infrastructure corridors offer the best risk-adjusted growth potential in 2025-2026. For most yield investors, regional Queensland towns with stable employment offer the best returns, though with higher risk. For most lifestyle seekers, buy where you actually want to live. The best lifestyle locations aren't the best investments, but that's okay if lifestyle is your priority. The worst mistake is paralysis. Waiting for the perfect location, perfect price, and perfect timing means you never buy. The best time to buy was 10 years ago. The second best time is now, in a location that meets your needs and fits your budget. Stop looking for the perfect place. Start looking for the right place for you.